Not really sure what to think. Not really sure about any conclusions I've made, but I do wonder about this idea of individual experiences versus what is generally thought stated to be true. I'm here in Vietnam, and we're in areas near the beach where there's a lot of Korean tourists. And the Vietnamese people have lots of interactions with them if they work in the industry. What do they think of them? Do they know what they're like? They may say, yeah, know a lot of Koreans, met a lot of them. Does that mean anything? You may say Korean culture is this and you base it on the people who are in Korea. Tens of millions of people. And so maybe we'd say you're right when you say Koreans are like this. But maybe Korean tourists act differently. Here in Vietnam, specifically. And these people have only ever interacted with Koreans in Vietnam who are here for tourism. Would you say they're wrong? Does it matter to them what Koreans are like back in Korea when they're only ever going to interact with Koreans here in Vietnam? Do Koreans change the way they act here in Vietnam? I would presume they do as tourists. I always wonder what people are like. I wonder what Filipinos are like in the Philippines. I know what they're like in the US, but I'm pretty sure back in their home country it's a different culture, right? They're not immigrants, they're not minorities. I think that's true of many, many people. Does it matter what they're like? Does it matter that I know what they're like back at home, what the quote unquote real Filipino is? What is this idea of truth or reality versus our personal experience? Does it matter what everybody else says? Or just what we have experienced ourselves? Is this taking relativism too far? Or is it only relative? If you think of it that way. Is there a truth beyond what we experience ourselves? I was talking about personality with my wife and her sister the other day. And it's interesting to think about this concept of personality. Because we're taught in school, a lot of our teachings are based on the idea that personalities are constant. That's why there's personality tests. But my personality tests changed a lot from high school to college to after college. Am I the same person? I presume I am. But personalities change. I think most of us have experienced that. We know somebody whose personality changed drastically. And yet, why do we presume people are the same? What defines a person, right? People are very different to different people. People are very different in different settings. Does it mean that they're two-faced? Does it mean they're lying? Does it mean there's one true you? What is that supposed to mean anyways? I don't know. But I think back to the place we went tonight. We got picked up by the shuttle bus. There's this restaurant. It's near, the hotel strip, the resort strip, where most people don't have cars. And transportation is expensive because it's not near anything else. So they have free shuttles, and I think that's their gig. That's how they get lots of guests that go to eat seafood there. A lot of Koreans there, also non-Koreans. Shuttle bus comes, picks you up. It says never on a shuttle bus. Obviously, caters for Koreans. I think some of their staff know Korean. The Koreans love it here, from what I guess. Food is cheap, much cheaper than Korea. They probably like the flavor. Alcohol is cheap. Service is fine. They're in Korea. The manners are relatively similar. It seems like they'd be having a good time. They're on vacation. They're enjoying themselves. They're a land where they feel rich. They could be generous with their money. They don't have to tip anyways. Would these be the same Koreans at home when they're stressed out, when they're working hard, when they have to put on appearances. I mean, here, they don't all dressed up. They don't all wear makeup. I would think it's easy here. Easy to feel good, to be relaxed, to be a different person than you are at home. I remember one person had met a guy in France or wherever she was traveling, fell for him, and went back with him to Italy, where he was working. Went back to his home. I found it super boring because he was working 10 hours every day. Didn't have time for her. Life was different. He was a different person, right? In his home environment versus another environment. And we get that, sort of. We get that for when you're traveling, but do we get that for your home, when you're with different people? I think people are different to different people. And not just that, I think people don't have one set personality, even one set way of interacting with somebody. You could change the way to interact if you know how to interact with them. I always go in a patient's room very positive and upbeat, because how does it hurt? They may hate me, they may get grumpy, but how does it hurt? If I could bring their mood up, that's a good thing, right? I think that's the thing about life. We meet so many people. This person may be grumpy and unhappy, but somehow, out of the 20 people waiting in line, one person made them smile. How can that be? Because I'm pretty sure that person, you could say they're oblivious, and maybe they are. That person wasn't upset, wasn't happy, was cheery, and it came off. They treated that person well, and that other person responded. Life is not a one-way street on a two-way street. Life is a big intersection in Vietnam. There are 6 entrances to this intersection. Everybody's interacting. What you do affects what somebody else does, which affects what somebody else does. You look left, right, everywhere, because your people are coming from everywhere. Motorbikes, cars, bicycles. We make such a difference. If you make somebody happy in the morning, they may make somebody else happy later that day. It scares me to think of the difference we make in people. We could totally change people's lives, and we'll never know it. I'm not talking about the doctor who changed a patient's life. I'm talking about just in general. How we influence people. The little things we do may mean so much. And we'll never know it, right? Because we'll never see the person again. But I think you could think of, and I could think of, a person who is a stranger that we've never seen again, who did something that we remember still to this day, decades later. Because people are what changes us, other people.